Okay, all right, yeah, let me know.
Put around here.
They're out of control up there.
I, Deborah Wakefield, Town Clerk, consistent with the method of notification adopted by the Town of Baldwin, certify that at the direction of Constance Warren, I notified the voters of Baldwin of the time and place of the special town meeting. I posted a true copy of the within warrant at the Town Clerk's office, the East Baldwin Post Office, the West Baldwin Post Office, and the Baldwin Community Center, a conspicuous public place within Baldwin on January 14, 2025, which is at least 7 days next prior to Election Day. To Connie Warren, a resident of the Town of Baldwin in the County of Cumberland and the State of Maine. You are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the Town of Baldwin in said county, qualified by law, to vote in said town affairs, to meet at the Baldwin Town Office on Tuesday, January 1st, 2025, at 6 o'clock in the evening, then and there to act on the following articles to wit. Article 1, to choose a moderator for said meeting. Any nominations?
Nominated Warren Blitzer.
Second.
Submit. Can we get a couple of secret ballots? Well,
Use one.
yeah, these are yours.
Oh, you stack of them.
Yeah, that's it, yes. Oh, we'll put it in. Guess what?
No surprises around here,
How are you?
I'm Ducky. How are you, my dear?
I'm Peachy.
Oh, good.
Perfect. Warren, do you swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state so long as you shall continue a citizen thereof, so help you God?
I do.
Do you swear that you will faithfully discharge to the best of your abilities the duties incumbent upon you as the moderator for Baldwin, according to the Constitution of laws of the state, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right. Top line.
Right there. All right.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have
You
you
get
prepared an
jam.
acceptance speech? Have you prepared an acceptance speech? I've done a bunch of executive orders I'm going to do. I was afraid of that. Okay, I was telling Josiah, last week I had one of my eyes gouged out and replaced with another nice one, and it's really nice. Next week I'm going to have the other one done, but right now, they don't match. I went through the desk drawer. I got 7 or 8 sets of eyeglasses, and none of them do everything I want. So anyway, we're gonna, as Admiral Farragut said, full speed ahead.
Debbie put that in Braille for you?
It might be a help.
All right.
Carol says these are birth control glasses, by the way. Article 2, shall the town of Baldwin appropriate $145,000 from the undesignated fund balance to be added to the River Road Reserve account. The funding to be used in addition to a state of Maine grant of $200,000 for the replacement of the culverts over Pigeon Brook on River Road. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. Moved, seconded. Discussions, questions?
So the River Road project, once this passes, or whatever, once this is done with culverts and so on, what's the next phase?
It depends, I guess. There's currently, I can read this, I need some new glasses too.
You want some of,
There's 93,600, if I read this correctly, currently in the River Road Reserve account. So we're gonna add this 145,000 plus the 200,000. The estimate from the engineer is, 345. So we're making the amount to match the estimate. I'm really hoping it's gonna come in lower. The last time we did a bridge project with these guys, with the engineers, it came in much lower. But who knows? We didn't want to dig into the River Road Reserve account too much because we've been working on building that up over the hopefully, we come in at the estimated amount, and we won't be digging into the reserve account too much. There's a little bit of the engineering cost, that will still come out of that, but not too much. So, several years ago, we had a thing, we put together what we recommended, an action plan for the River Road, and we talked about having an engineer design the road replacement, because there's a lot of places where you gotta come in and you gotta go up the base. There's a couple of other places where there are water crossings that wash out. This 2
Now, are
years
you
ago.
going to straighten that too? Is there an area there that you're gonna straighten it rather than having
Yeah,
it?
we've got the land now. We need somebody to design that, not just that piece of road, but the whole thing. It's a long-term project, but it's still there. We're trying to keep money in it to make it go. But this will definitely be the first phase of it, and, we'd hate to, repave the road or rebuild it and then have the
And when
culverts
did
wash out.
when did you find that this 200,000 grant was available or whatever? Did you seek it out, or did they contact you, or?
It's something they do annually, and, the first time we applied for it, which was last spring, they said no. Then I discovered that they were redoing it. I think they had some federal monies, quite honestly, that they dispersing. And, we applied and got the grant, so.
So it is predicated on the 145 to get the
Not
200?
predicated on the 145, what it's predicated on is we have to finish the project, and, we have to, anything over the 200,000 is what we pay for. And it's, they will only pay for expenses, accrued since the 11th, I think, November 1st of last year. So some engineering charges and stuff that we spent the previous year, we can't, request reimbursement for, but anything going forward we can. And, we've got, the plan says we'll finish up this fall with the work. You know, there's a stream crossing window, and you can't disturb the fish. Going upstream, and so I think it's July through October or something like that, so we have to finish up the work this year. We can only ask for reimbursement in 3 amounts, so 3 payments, so there's a whole bunch of conditions, but.
Further questions and comments on Article 2, River Road Project? Hearing none. All those in favor of Article 2 as presented, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Appears to be unanimous. Move on to Article 3. To see what sum the town of Baldwin will appropriate from the undesignated fund balance to be transferred to the comprehensive plan reserve account to fund the completion of the comprehensive plan update. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
In what amount?
$3,000.
Okay, you have to say that.
Oh, what? That's why I just.
Financial stuff, we gotta be a little strict. Questions, comments? Yes.
What is the undesignated fund?
Bob?
Yeah, so the undesignated fund balance, and what is the undesignated fund or the fund balance?
Both.
Okay. So we have fund balances, which is money that's left over in the town treasury, so to speak. Some of it is designated for something, you know, it's been voted on and approved to do something, but it hasn't been expended yet. Or it might be in a reserve account that is pointing it to be spent on something in the future. The undesignated fund balance is surplus in the treasury that has not been designated or anything. That's why it's called undesignated, so. Where does it come from? The undesignated money comes from, when, at the end of the year, if monies are approved for a certain function and they don't get spent, quite often they can just go into the undesignated fund balance and they're available to spend on the next year.
What is the balance that you have in that fund right now?
The balance that we have right now. So, we don't know exactly, because it's why we hire auditors, you know, but last year, I think the number that they came up with was what, 540, something like that, in the undesignated fund balance.
So you're saying roughly $500,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
But as the year goes by, those go up and down. It's hard to say without the auditor telling us. I wish I had a way that we could run a computer program that tells us exactly where it stands, but it eludes me, and eludes a lot of towns too.
I thought you have paper trails.
Well, we have paper trails, but the thing is, you have revenues coming in. You can plan what you're going to spend, and you know kind of what that's going to be, but you have revenues coming in that fluctuate every year. Things like
Excise tax. Excise tax.
Excise tax is one of the big ones. You get state revenue sharing. I think that the reimbursement from the state for roads is pretty standard. That comes in pretty much just based on the number of roads you have. But the other thing that varies considerably is how much we pay for the schools. And so we can't really predict that very well, because it varies based on some computer program up at the state level, which is the state municipal valuation.
Well, Bill said she's gonna take care of 55% of the school debt and all in the state of Maine.
Yeah. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Well, she said that's in the budget this year.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Gary, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, how close to completion you are on the comprehensive plan, and will there be a vote on that for the town to accept it or reject it?
Yeah, like you folks didn't get these, but, it's a little handout, I guess you could crank it out here, but there's a computation of what's involved. You know, look at it real quick, pass it around. But this is what it's gonna take to complete it, using town personnel plus, Southern Regional Planning Commission's efforts.
Further questions, comments on Article 3, comprehensive plan, finish up money?
This is a guesstimate on how much it's gonna take.
Yeah, this is, I think the, up at the top there is what.
Yep. Yep. Okay, cool, thanks.
Anything else? Are we ready to vote on Article 3? Article 3, to see what sum the town of Baldwin will appropriate from the undesignated fund balance to be transferred to the comprehensive plan reserve account to fund the completion of the comprehensive plan update. The article was moved and seconded at $3,000. All those in favor, please raise your hand. None as opposed. Appears to be unanimous. Move to Article 4, to see what sum the town of Baldwin will appropriate from the undesignated fund balance to add to the planning board's fiscal year 25 budget. These funds provide for Southern Maine Regional Planning and Development Commission or something, technical assistance in ordinance updating and administrative support for the planning board for the remainder of fiscal year 25. selectmen are recommending $8,500. Do we have a motion?
So moved in the amount of $8,500.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, questions, comments? Mr. Pierce?
What's happening to the mass gathering ordinance?
Nothing yet.
Is the town gonna get to decide? There are people who really wanted it, and, I just sort of wondered, it sort of like went to sleep.
I don't know. As a select board, we haven't discussed it. Yeah. But I would think it would come to a vote.
Okay. I like to see things I buy, you know, but they're asking us to buy it.
We've already paid for it.
Then I really want to see it.
That's one of the reasons why we asked for the extra money.
To get it completed?
No, because it ate into his budget.
Further questions and comments on, $8,500 for the, planning board's fiscal year budget? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 4, planning board, money, $8,500, please raise your hand. Those opposed? The article passes unanimously. Article 5, to see what sum the town of Baldwin will appropriate from the undesignated fund balance to add to the select board office fiscal year 25 compensation budget. These funds to provide for backup code enforcement officer training for the remainder of fiscal year 25. Recommendation is $14,000. We have a motion.
So moved in the amount of $14,000.
Second. Moved and seconded. Questions, comments?
Can you just elaborate a little bit on what the courses are that would encompass the $14,000?
I don't know all of them. There's a whole host of courses that they take. All the certifications.
Certifications, what, plumbing, electric, 2x4s and all that stuff?
Yeah.
There's legal ones, legal issues.
Okay.
I was just wondering in terms of the level of like where she is and where she needs to be, the $14,000.
You have to pass all the tests, and she hasn't passed any of them at the state level. So, in essence, she came in at 0, although she has a lot of capabilities and knowledge related to the area, so she should be able to do them fairly quickly.
Further questions and comments on Article 5? Laurie?
Can you just tell us where things stand with CEO and Baldwin now? Like, who is serving? I'm a little behind on this.
So Mike Lee is serving.
Yeah.
He's the official one. Not to talk about him too much personally, but he's had some health issues, and we thought here just recently that he might be gone, and due to health issues. And we've addressed this several times in the past several years, that when the CEO is not available, things get backed up real quick and people get irate. And so we think that we need somebody standing by that's certified to do the job. That's what this pays for, is to get somebody qualified. And it's Kathy Green, I think, right? Yeah, Kathy Green. Is the back.
Sandy?
Is all of this $14,000, is all of that for training?
It's for training. She might not necessarily be sending money to somebody, but we're paying her hours.
Okay.
So that's mostly what she's doing, though, is hours of training. A little bit of it might be spent helping Mike. In fact, some of it might be spent with some of these planning board issues on ordinances and stuff. She's very capable in that area. Worked in some big municipalities out west, and so.
Can you train online, or do you have to drive to Augusta, or what?
It depends. I think most of it is online, but there's a few tests that you have to take in person.
Okay.
She just went to Augusta last Thursday, so.
See what?
She just went to Augusta last Thursday,
Okay.
Circle Day.
So you get some mileage there, I imagine, yeah.
So it should be part of the officer's compensation, yeah,
Part of what the select board's pays for.
yeah.
Anything else on, $14,000 in Article 5? Matt, did you have something?
No, I just wanted to see the
Okay,
estimate.
don't wanna leave anybody out. Are we ready to vote on Article 5, $14,000? All those in favor of Article 5 as presented, please raise your hands. Those opposed? Appears to pass unanimously. Move on to Article 6. Shall the town of Baldwin approve an amendment to the 2025, is that capital investment plan? Capital investment plan to approve the purchase of an excavator from the town vehicle equipment reserve account. This would permit the town to enter into a 5-year lease with a purchase option at the end of the lease period. This revision defers replacement of the blue 2015 one-ton plow truck for at least 2 more years. Selectmen and Road Commissioner recommend approval. A motion.
So moved.
Motion seconded. Questions, comments, discussion? Ariella?
What size is the excavator?
So, we've been looking at a bunch of different brands, a bunch of different sizes. We're looking around the 18,000 to 25,000 pound range.
Okay, so is it like the big one that you have, like?
No, it's smaller than the one
Smaller
I
than
have.
that, okay.
Yeah,
So it's
quite a
like
bit
in
smaller.
between.
Mine's, the one I have, my big Volvo that I own,
Yeah.
is 30,000 pounds.
So it's between what?
It's between my two. basically.
No, okay. Okay.
I don't know if you see my little one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's basically between
It
those.
was on the other side of the road the other day, yeah, okay.
It's between those two.
The other question I have is there any way that we can see the maintenance records for some of the vehicles that the town owns?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all already filed, I guess.
Yes.
What is the, cost difference between, subbing out that particular work as opposed to rental? With option to buy at the end of the rental period?
We'd like to address that.
It's about $130 an hour. to
What
sub it
is?
out.
What is, to rent it?
No, to sub it out to somebody.
Okay.
So, I did the math real quick. You're talking. You're talking about $5,200 a week to sub out anywhere.
1,600,
$5,200 a week
Yeah.
to sub it out.
So what would your rental per year be on that?
So our lease is looking to be right around the $30,000 mark.
Mhm.
A week?
No, a year.
For the year.
Does that include employees?
It would be the town employees if we were to do this option.
Is that included in your figure?
Yes, I understand what the.
Well, if you're sub it out, you get
So
the
if we-
employees, you get the
So
people, and you get the rig.
if we sub it out, it's $130 an hour roughly,
Is
and
that,
that includes the rental and a operator and a machine.
okay,
So it's $5,200 a week for the machine and an operator. So if we were to hire, we'll say Estes, or I don't know what Brighton gets, but, or Anderson or anyone like that, typically if you rent it or sub it out, you're gonna get an operator and an excavator.
Yes, but you only pay for the time that you need them.
Correct, they would be paid for the time that they're on the site.
That's
Yep.
right. But your lease would be a monthly bill.
Yeah, it'd be monthly or yearly, yeah. So the monthly bill is right around $2,500 for the month versus the $5,200 per week. And the machine that we're looking at.
What I'm getting at is the sub would be when you need them and when you need to use them.
Yep,
The lease would be weekly or monthly.
every,
It would be the,
the same every month.
Yearly.
yearly or monthly or whatever.
That's
it is,
right.
But it's, yeah.
So in
One
theory,
person at a time, please. This is stuff that needs to be brought out, but one
It is.
person at a time.
It is.
You, sir, what is your name?
Steve,
Steve,
yes.
go ahead.
All right, so in reality, the leasing part of it could far exceed the cost of subbing it up.
It could,
All right, okay.
it could.
Sandy?
How often is an excavator of that size needed if you're in town?
So we've put on our backhoe currently, doing ditch work and stuff like that,
Mhm.
we're averaging right now around 12 to 1,500 hours during the summer.
During the summer,
Yep.
okay.
That doesn't include snow removal and stuff like that, so that's summer months.
Okay, so, on a per week basis, that is,
We
and it's
typically-
how many hours on a given week that you would use this?
So with the backhoe, we're averaging, I don't know what it figures out to be per week, but you're talking 1,500 divided by 26 weeks would be half a year, is 57 hours.
Per week?
Yeah, which is probably a little bit high, because we typically only work
Yeah,
40, but.
yeah.
So, it probably, the backhoe, when we're doing ditch work and culvert replacing, it runs probably 8 hours a day.
Okay, so, if you can sub the work out
Yep,
for 5,200 a week,
yep.
times, let's say, 24 weeks,
Okay,
what's that number?
so,
I think you stumped it.
Huh?
I think you stumped it.
well, no, I gotta do
Do the
We
math.
got, he's ciphering out his calculator.
so for 5,200 for 24 weeks
Yep,
is $124,000.
okay, now, if we lease the equipment itself,
Yep,
we still have to provide the operator
yep,
Insurances.
and insurance, whatever, right? But, so have you figured out what that would cost us? What I'm trying to do is being able to compare these apples and apples.
I don't know 100%. The other part of the lease is that we have an old payloader that is out to bid right now to get funded. So that's going away. And this would be able to put the backhoe basically at the shop or to load sand and stuff and give us a secondary piece of equipment if the backhoe broke down as well in the middle of the winter. That was some of the idea behind it versus buying it back, versus purchasing another payloader, which has one use and one use only. You load dirt.
Mm-hmm,
Versus an excavator, you can load the dirt, you can ditch.
yeah.
We're also looking at the mulcher head to go with it, that's part of the lease.
Uh,
So we can do,
That is, okay,
so we can do roadside mowing year round and all of that. That was part of the, one of the things that we're looking at with doing the lease, is getting a mulcher head, which would also help maintain the hiking trail that got built.
so is that built into
That would be built into the lease.
the $30,000 per year lease?
Yep.
And how long does each piece of this equipment last?
I mean, I own, my excavator personally, I own is a 1991 and a 2001, and they still run it phenomenally every day.
All depends on the maintenance.
Yeah, depends on the
Yeah,
maintenance.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Because some of this stuff is pretty heavy, and as long as it's maintained,
Yep,
It'll
yeah, they'll last a
last
long
forever.
time. Yeah, correct. I mean, the backhoe we have now is a 2012. It's worn out, it's tired, but it still does the job every day that we use it.
How many hours on it roughly?
I think around 7,000 or 8,000.
Ballpark, yeah.
Yeah, 7,000, 8,000, and the payloader, I think, has 7,000 on it as well.
So this, just to mention though, that this is replacing the payloader that is currently
Yeah.
in the
The CIP.
CIP, so this would replace it.
Jerry?
So with the payloader that you're talking about, would that be turned in as part, are you gonna sell it outright?
So we currently have It's out to bid currently, the bid's due on, I think, the 18th, I think is the selectmen's meeting, February 18th. But they have offered us a trade-in value as well to it, so I guess whichever one's higher, the town should take.
And also on the deal where you're leasing this item, the maintenance schedule, maintenance program included in that?
There could be, there isn't. So the two machines that we're looking at both have a 5,000 plus hour warranty on them, or a 3 and 5 year warranty. Are the two machines that we've been going back and forth between, that we've looked at more than the others.
I was just wondering about the value of the maintenance program. Obviously, you're trying to get as much life out of it as possible while you're maintaining it. Or if there's an issue comes up that they find, something's cracked or this or that.
Right.
And you didn't see it, and now it adds to the fact that now it takes out this, and this, because we didn't replace that. The only other thing my thought process, that I previously was on the board, and a gentleman, and he's no longer here, but we did have the luxury with the town of owning some of our equipment that other towns did not have. And when they were looking at going out to contract and bids with private contractors, so the availability of the private contractor being there when you needed something done made it very precarious. So the flexibility part of if you're doing something down here and you need to do something down the road, you don't have to call Estes or somebody say, when can you work us in? So it's a matter of how much you want to save. Yeah, you can do everything out to the contractors, but at some point down the road, when they got you, and they know they got you, then watch where that goes. Then when you're comparing the price, you're going, wow.
And then the biggest thing is if we have it here, if we have a washout or big storms or anything like that, we don't have to see about trying to get a contractor that's trying to do everybody else's washouts as well.
Yeah.
Mary Ellen?
Okay, we talked about this before.
Yep.
The trailer, did you get that fixed so that you can haul it?
It's still where it sits, haven't even touched it.
Okay, so you're gonna have to rely on somebody else right now until
Currently,
you
yes.
get the trailer fixed.
Anybody else? Debbie?
I'm confused, is this estimated 30,000 for the full purchase price, or is that annual?
That's the annual for the 5 years, and then there's a buyout,
Okay.
if we so decide to choose to do.
Steve?
One more question.
Yeah? Go ahead,
This
Steve.
piece of equipment is in question right now. The way I heard the conversation, if I heard it correctly, was going to be a field in a standby to replace something that you would also have a lot of idle time. Am I hearing that correctly?
What do you mean by idle time?
When it's not needed, it could possibly sit in your yard for a week, 2 weeks, a month.
Well, our backhoe's never sat in the yard for more than a day, so.
No, but for this piece of equipment here, with what it can do, the way
I'm hoping it's on the road 90% of the time.
Except in the winter.
Well, even in the winter time, that's the idea of the mulcher head, is that we'll be able to do all the roadside mulching in the winter.
still sounds to me like it's gonna be a lot of idle time on that piece of equipment. But that's just my interpretation of it.
Yes, snowplows don't run 24 hours a day, or 8 hours a day either.
I understand that.
Not this year.
Further questions, comments regarding Article 6? Anything else before we get to a vote? Okay. Article 6, I'll reread it. Shall the town of Baldwin approve an amendment to the 2025 capital improvement plan to approve the purchase of an excavator from the town vehicle equipment reserve account. This would permit the town to enter into a 5-year lease with purchase option at the end of the lease period. This revision defers replacement of the blue 2015 110 plow truck for at least 2 more years. All those in favor of Article 6 as read, please raise your hand. Okay. Okay. Okay, those opposed? 8 in favor, 2 opposed, the Article 6, passes, is accepted as presented. Article 7, it's time to stop this and have a selectmen's meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Moved second. All those in favor of adjourning this meeting? Those opposed? Thank you very much.